All right, hi everybody, and welcome back to On the Roof. You know, today we're sitting here in the midst of so much turmoil and division now in the country. I decided to bring back a guest that we had once before, who's one of my favorite people on this planet, and he went through something very similar to what's going on. So I think he's the most appropriate guest we could have right now. So I'd like to introduce Danny Reyes. What's up, Danny?
Hey, how are you? Once again, thanks for having me once again. It was fun last time as well.
Yeah, the pleasure's mine. Let's just get right into the energy, man, that we're living in right now. It's wild, right? You know, what do you think? How do you describe what we're in right now?
I mean, it finally hit the tip point or the boiling point. It's a lot of things that's been happening recently that I believe led to this point. Um, you know, just the fact that everybody's been home watching everything that's been happening, even with the whole social distancing, the way in certain parts of the country, police was treating minorities when they got, maybe there wasn't social distancing the correct way. And compared to certain neighborhoods, in particular, I know in New York, with white people, the Jews, and the way that the NYPD chose to handle both situations differently, that's the issue. If handle both situations the same, then it's not as big of an issue. So, people that was one of the things that, and then you had a few people that lost their lives to police officers across the country. And then the George Floyd, it was just, so unnecessary. It could have been prevented. The man was already in handcuffs. I don't even understand how.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
A knee on his neck for almost 9 minutes in handcuffs, and that's been a big issue with police. And it's like so many times we're seeing more and more of these type of videos because there's more cameras, and the guy's already in handcuffs and he's still being beaten. It's like, definitely a lot of reform should come out of this because, we should not be going through all this. It's taking a life on its own. I never thought it would grow to the scale it's gotten to across the country, across the world even. I had a friend that just contacted me this weekend from Australia. They was marching for us. So,
Yeah.
And more than ever, which I think is very important, and that was one of the rallies I was at yesterday in Westfield, New Jersey, was more white people coming out in these protests all around, so everybody feels that enough is enough. And we need to make sure that we follow up so we, don't, all this is not for nothing. We still have to follow up, make sure that the police officers, not only they got indicted, but now, they get convicted for what they deserve, and the proper reform at the state level and at the federal level. Things need to change. So that's clear.
Yeah. You personally have more relevance on this subject than anybody that I know. But Danny, before we get into the facts and the details of your particular story, I just want to go to the whole Black Lives Matter thing for a minute, right? What is that to you? How do you define that, Black Lives Matter, that slogan and what's going on now?
Black Lives Matter. There's the people, there's organizations. So there's different organizations that always going to do things that benefit their agendas, right? But as long as we all working for the same common cause, and that's if you're referring to the actual organization, To me, Black Lives Matters, what it stands
More
for.
of the concept was what I was asking you. More
Yeah,
the
yeah,
concept and what it stands for than the actual
the
organization.
concept is simple. It's that Black Lives Matter because all lives matter. It goes hand in hand. So anyone that tries to take the attention from that and argue that all lives matter,
But
it's
isn't
like,
that where the disconnect is? Because it's just to
hey,
take the
that's the issue, because it's like, obviously all lives matter, but the injustices for so long that we need to say Black Lives Matter.
yes.
We never said only Black Lives Matter or anything else. So that's the issue. I even it's something that I like. Somebody like myself, I don't even think about that. It's not in my mindset. So like I try to bring it because and think about it even now. Like, why do people even have the issue, even let's say even hashtagging Black Lives Matter, right? And because I had some white friends have contacted me during this lockdown to talk to me, and a lady in particular, she felt like she was being bullied into having to hashtag Black Lives Matter,
Yeah.
right? My whole thing, the way I told her is, I mean, nobody should bully you to do anything you don't want to do. So if you don't feel like you should do it because you want to do it. You shouldn't be
Yeah.
forced to. But
Right.
in the scheme of things, if you really are for the cause, I don't think that's something that we are arguing. It's like, what's the big deal? Like, I just hashtag it and because I want to do it. Like, it's not. I'm not going to waste time arguing about that because that takes away from what needs to be done. So and that's been the big issue, because a lot of people sometimes try to change the conversation.
Yeah.
You
Oh
know,
yeah.
and we must stay the course. Like, even the Drew Brees situation that you may have heard, about trying to make it about the military and the
The
flag.
flag. Yeah.
If athletes decide to kneel,
But
once
Danny,
again,
that worked 2 years ago.
uh,
That
now
worked
what?
2 years ago.
Exactly. And 2 years ago, this country was still, you know, trying to, like, I don't even know, justify. I don't even know. I don't understand how, when in fact the military, that's what they're fighting for. Our,
Yeah.
our rights to be,
I'm with you on that. It's very frustrating. See,
so
obviously I don't have your experience, right? But for me not to have compassion for just the basic facts of what I know, to just not say, listen, none of us can deny what goes on in society. I mean, we can't be blind, and or keep our heads in the sand. So if somebody in your family is affected and you react, why do I got to get defensive about that and go, see, there he goes again, man, these people, and then it's just the separation, the distance, and the distraction, instead of saying, you know what, if it was my brother, I'd be pissed off too. If
right.
it was my neighbor, whatever the case is, and so somebody posted something great the other day about, like, two stick figures talking, and one guy goes Black Lives Matter, and the other stick figures goes All Lives Matter, the same bullshit, right? One guy goes, well, what if I said save the rainforests, and then the other guy comes back and says save all forests? I mean, the point is, we're talking about the rainforest. Like, we're talking about the Black Lives Matter. Don't distract it. It's all one big, like, organized distraction from giving you your voice.
Disparity of equality. It's been so lopsided for so long.
It
The
still is,
numbers,
though.
the data is there. So if you don't understand that, do the research first, right? So it's obvious. So
Yeah,
at
but
this
what you're
point,
fighting, Danny, is
it's only
people that
people
refuse
that,
to do the research because they don't want to know.
right, exactly. They don't want to know, and they know. You know, at
Yeah,
the end of the day, they gotta know.
yeah,
Understand what I'm saying? So at that moment, we have to feel that you're just trying to change the conversation on us,
yep.
because you know I don't want to have that conversation with you. Like, it's an ignorant conversation right now. It makes no sense. Like, is it
I know, but the
ego?
more time they stall, it's like
Right.
it's a real. Again, I don't want to get in. I don't do
For me,
politics.
it's like whatever. I'll hashtag Black Lives Matter. Like, it's not a big deal. or not. Just do it if you, but don't argue it as if we're saying all lives don't matter.
No, well, that's what they are saying, though. That
that goes
is
without
like
saying. That goes without
there's an
saying.
undercurrent to that says no, no, you
Right.
don't. That's.
Nah, yeah.
I mean, let's
You know,
be real. Is it not?
it's the same thing with the kneeling, because the kneeling to me is even worse, because you really think we're stupid. You know what I'm saying? Like the military, there was many black and Latino soldiers that went World War I, World War II, and when they came back home, they was fighting for the type of rights that they did not have at home.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, what are we talking about here? Like, let's not act as if the military has treated black people equally. You know, so, and in fact, the military has always fought for our rights. So that's where the conversation should really end. When we're talking about you're disrespecting the flag, no, you're disrespecting the people, intelligence, really.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, you know, and I feel like the shift is happening. So, like a couple of years ago, there's many people in sports right now that understand. You know what? The kneeling, it's not the biggest deal. The NFL just announced it,
Yeah,
and
but you know what, Danny? This is 2 or 3 years later, and
the NFL.
Kaepernick now is.
That's a big moment. You can't undersize what that means. I mean, the NFL literally just came out this week saying that they was wrong. They finally figured out that what we're kneeling for, which is what's happening right now, is bigger than your little ego about trying to like mud it about the military, when it actually is the opposite. The military fights for our rights, and they support our protests because they want equality.
But that's the perfect segue, because that's what this is a result of, the protest. In a few weeks, there's been a lot of action, a lot of results in a few weeks compared to, decades and centuries of bullshit. Your personal story, 22 years ago, and we're dealing with the same shit today. I mean, as much as we've grown, we haven't grown. I mean, in certain ways we've grown, but how much?
So
Certainly not enough.
it's unfortunate, definitely not enough. I mean, and then in particular in the last few years, with the type of leadership that we have on top, that's really been promoting a divide and not bringing people together. I mean, it's
what
really
leadership on top are you talking about?
I'm talking about the presidency.
I know who you're talking about, but I'm talking about. I don't see any leadership.
It's kind of hard to, like, as a people, fight for what we're fighting for right now, when our president is actually, he's really pushing more of a divide. He's actually telling the cops to be more aggressive.
I think the reason that the movement has the momentum it has right now is because people are just sick of the divide. Those people that are standing up, and those people that aren't are resisting, of course. But I think the reason that it's gotten to that boiling point, and we got to be careful, because I think we're in 1968 all over again, in a sense. And a lot, big important people lost their lives, and a lot of shit went down. And listen, Martin Luther King's life, a man who has the highest stature in history for so many. But is his life any more or less valuable than George Floyd? I don't care what the guy did criminally. I mean, nobody has the right to take his life. I mean, and that's the bottom line, man.
It's no surprise that this is happening now. It's all these variables, everything coming together, everybody being home. People are not busy with their normal lives, and they had enough. And, the people, as a people, like, this is probably the most that I've seen all types of people really coming out. Cities that I never even thought would be protesting, and it's gotten worldwide. So, we got the people's attention. So now the follow-up's got to happen within the next, year, 2 years. Like, it has to be a thing to move forward and have progress.
I agree 1,000% with you. I just want to get into your story for anybody that isn't familiar with your story. I know you have a documentary that should be coming out by the end of this year, right? But
yes,
can you give us a quick synopsis of your experience? Put a stamp on the validity of your voice in this whole thing.
Right. My story is the Jersey 4 story. The documentary called Jersey 4 coming out at the end of this year. We was actually been in production for like the last several years already. So it's, the way this is coming out now, it's more relevant than ever. And, the way we putting our film together is going to be definitely educational for everyone, because we're kind of putting what our story was back in 1998 and relating it to what's been going on today. And in 98, I was a college basketball player with 3 other college basketball players on our way to North Carolina for basketball workouts. And in that, we get pulled over by the state troopers in New Jersey. And unfortunately, I got shot 6 times by the troopers, and 2 of my guys in the back, Ray, Sean, and Jermaine, got shot 3 and 4 times. The driver did not get hit, but basically they pulled us over. They profiled us for a while, meaning they rode next to us in the car, looking inside. We had a minivan, and they must have rode next to us for like several minutes, and slowed down, decided to pull us over. And in the initial stop, when we pulled over to the shoulder, I felt the bump. I heard a shot. I'm in the front passenger seat, and then real quickly a trooper came to my window. He broke his window with his baton. I looked at him, and I'm showing my hands, showing that I'm not trying to do anything funny, and he shot me point blank range. So once everything got investigated, because that's how the similarities of my case to George Floyd's case was that in the beginning, they tried to paint us as unemployed, not going to school, that we try to run the police officers over, that they was on the ground shooting at the car and fearing for their lives. So in the investigation came out that the opposite, that, I had my hands up, he shot me point blank range, and they ended up getting indicted for aggravated assault, attempted murder, right? And they got further investigated, and they also got another indictment for falsifying records, which is a practice they did called ghosting, where they would pull over minorities, and over 100 times in the 3 months that they was investigated, they falsified the race on the tickets. So they was pulling over minorities, profiling them at a very high volume on the turnpike. And, in some cases they had several shootings, but maybe the people had drugs or something to justify the shooting. In our case, we was on our way to school. There was, we had our books, we had our basketball gear, no criminal records. And they totally made up a whole story that did not take place even. So guys like reverends like Reverend R. Sharpton and many others came to our attention and marched and demanded an investigation. We were lucky enough to get representation by a local attorney, David Ironman, and then he later contacted Johnny Cochran. The late Johnny Cochran accepted. He already had heard it on the news, and that, with him came Peter Newtham, Barry Scheck. So that was my representation. Right. So that, before social media and things, Cochran definitely brought the media's attention, and, the same way the whole country was watching New Jersey. So they ended up, going from, in the beginning, the governor Whitman at the time was denying that they had racial profiling. And a few years later, from our investigation, they had to retract that statement and say that they did have an issue on racial profiling, and that, they needed to make changes. The superintendent ended up getting fired. There was several changes that happened due to our case, including implementing the cameras inside vehicles, the trooper vehicles. That happened within 3-4 months after my shooting, and it became a national case. We were lucky enough to survive and tell our story. It took me about 3 years of physical therapy to be able to, get back to normal, start playing basketball and things like that. So since then, we we've been marching. We marched and also had meetings in the early 2000s when Hillary Clinton was a senator, and those meetings with Corzine led to the racial profiling laws. So we've been, active over the years. And then basketball is the one thing that got us together. So we always get back together in the summer and do basketball clinics. We've done some speaking engagements over the years. So, I'm still together with my brothers. And like I said, we have this documentary that we've been working on. And we have many of the people like that was involved with the case, the prosecutor, all those individuals, the lawyers, everybody that's still alive, discussed this case because it really blew open racial profiling, especially on the highways, on the turnpike. So, that's one of those cases. So naturally, we've been active, and now, seeing everything that's been going down, that's one of the things that, the Floyd, unfortunately, he did not survive, but the whole country now is watching Minnesota the same way they was watching back in 98, 99, 2000, watching Jersey to see if they was going to handle the case correctly. In our case, although they got indicted for attempted murder, aggravated assault, falsifying the records, at the end of the day, we never got a day in court to try them. They ultimately got a plea bargain from the
prosecutor. They never did a day in jail, am I right?
Never did a day in jail. They didn't need to go to trial. So basically, the only thing that did happen was they lost their jobs. Quite and simple.
Yeah, and that's where people have a problem.
Right. So no.
I mean, it's I don't not to it's laughable that
right.
and again, this is no disrespect. I'm just saying that something like that could turn into like somebody can empty their gun on you and not do a day.
Right. And that's why I say that, to compare it to what's happening today with George Floyd, because although they got indicted, that's just the first step.
Oh, absolutely.
So there's people out here that would be like, "Oh, the cops got indicted." I heard a girl say that they got convicted. No, that's
it's got a long way to go.
Will they actually get convicted? Is the question. So now the follow-ups.
Right, to piggyback on the point you made earlier about you have to bring this kind of notoriety and attention to the case so that this shit doesn't get just pushed under the rug. If this, like yours didn't, but how many have? We don't know. We don't know, but we can assume there's a whole bunch.
That's exactly what we discussed yesterday. Like, we were fortunate enough to have that. We were lucky. And George Floyd's case, they will, make sure that they follow up on those. But there's many, many cases out there that, people don't hear about, and the families don't have the right representation of money, and it's nothing they could do. So that's really what we really fighting for, is for everybody, because, for, as many cases like my case, it was a landmark case. I had a dream team. It was a national case. Our case is it's been in many books over the years about racial profile and police brutality. It set precedents, but there's many, many other cases out there, and we need to bring those numbers down. We need reform. We need reform all around the country when it comes to policing.
You know what, Danny? This is no not to discredit cops. I mean, your mom is a retired policewoman in Puerto Rico, right? From Puerto Rico, right?
Yes, yes.
So we're not here. I'm not here, and I know you're not here to just disparage cops at whole, but and I know I'm not going to say it's even close to being an easy job. There's a whole lot of stuff that goes on. There's a mentality. There's a culture. All of these things, but you can give a lot of leeway to a whole department, right? But if you can't draw the line at shooting people and killing people, I mean, I think there's a clear line to be drawn at a certain point that there's no gray area anymore.
Well, I think the place that we need to get to quote the late Johnny Cochran, is we need to get to a place where the bad police fear the good police, and not vice versa. And until we get there, and I think that's the big problem, because they are good police officers, but a lot of times the good ones fear the bad ones, and that has to be changed. The culture has to be changed. we hope that our case was one of those cases that kind of moved the needle a little bit.
Yeah,
but now we really need to move it, because like you said, we might have taken a step forward and then taken 2 steps backwards in the last 20 years, probably.
Yeah, but I think what happens too is when you get to a point where the tension's too great and there's an explosion now, people just can't take it. You said it earlier, enough is enough. That's a result of your case and so many others like it. I mean, listen, there were 3 in this past month. That Breonna Taylor and that guy in Georgia. I mean,
right.
All right.
There's more cases out there.
There's a whole lot more, right? And I was just talking with somebody today, and the guy in Buffalo, the protester that got, they said 75-year-old guy. I mean, there's a lot of discrepancies in that story, but there's video. I mean, if you watch the video clearly, now they're saying he was a professional protester, that the blood was fake. Listen, there's a responsibility on all ends to be, the division right now is just so intense that it's this side against that side. No matter what the facts are, we believe what suits us, and that's a big problem. I want to believe this, so if I hear anything in that realm, I'm going to absorb it. Whether it's actually factual or not, and who fact checks anymore? You'd rather have something. It's not necessary.
Your president is showing you that fact check.
Don't say my president, man. That's not fair.
It's unbelievable. Like we actually seeing the president every day not be fact checked because he told him.
That's the whole thing. It's so watered down, but that's acceptable to just flat out lie in front of everybody.
And that's it. Like it doesn't matter that you lied 20 times this week.
20 times. I mean, there's thousands and thousands of times.
Right.
It's unbelievable. Then if you count the tweets, it's unbelievable. But with everything being what it is, this is the state we're in right now. Where do where do we go from here? What do you think it looks like going forward?
I mean, like I said, I'm hopeful because, now I see that everybody is involved. A lot of people, a lot more people than in the past. Unity, more all genders and colors, and that's important. That's important because, we got to do it as a people because that's it. That's the thing. We're here no matter what. We live in this country and it's still the greatest country. So, I mean, we have to figure it out. And it's clear that more and more people are tired of it. So I think because of that, the reform is important, especially when it comes to the police and the training, those type of things, because those type of things, police, they abuse all types of people. It doesn't, it's not just minorities.
You know what happened just now, right? The city, I think it was the city council or something in Minnesota, just voted to completely redo the whole police department somehow. Exactly. I don't know the specifics. I just saw it on a ticker and I didn't even get it all.
That's the type of change that needs to happen because it needs to, just be reformed all around, and why not? I mean, this is all for the benefit of all the citizens, at this point. So I hope that at least that goes forward because, and then just, hopefully we could change some hearts out there, people that have racist hearts and maybe they, their minds are opened up and realize that, we all humans and, I don't see color. I just, it's just the way I always been. Maybe basketball helped with that because although I did live and grew up in the city, in the hood, I always had friends all around, because I traveled playing basketball. So that's the thing, sports brings everybody together and I'm just hoping that as a people, we come together. I think coming together is going to be real important this November because, like I said, it starts from voting and voting for, politicians.
It's the most important thing we have right now is to vote everybody across the whole country, man.
All right, exactly. Yeah. So I believe, so I want to be hopeful that, it was just a lot that happened this year. People was frustrated from losing their jobs, not being able to work or even go outside. So it's just a lot of things boiling up at the same time. And, this is where we are right now.
Yeah. With the whole protest thing, and I believe it's making a big difference in the right way. It was some rough patches there for a while, but I do think that all in all, it's working. But when everybody gets back to work right now,
there's always going to be opportunists. There's always criminals out there. So there's always going to be, and there's always going to be collateral damage because this country was built on protest. We didn't invent protest. Really, white people really did. They took
Yeah,
over this country, Boston Tea Party. So I mean
that's right.
that's just how it is that we gotten here. And then you add that this is the country that we protest and vandalize um, because we won a championship on some team sport or lost a championship every year. In this case, the protest is for people's lives, so it's a little bit more serious.
Moving forward though, when today here in New York City opened up a lot. It's phase one opened up today, so people are going to gradually get back to
Yeah.
some semblance of normal, a small bit, but you know this is a movement that really has to keep the momentum throughout. Do you think when things start to normalize more, that's going to be a factor in lessening the importance of people wanting to get out there and have their voice heard?
I mean, I think the rallies and all that, and there will be certain big organized ones all the way to the end of the summer. But people want to get back to their normal lives. What needs to continue is, the politicians, they need to move forward. The ones that are committing to make real change right now, and the people need to make sure that we need to make sure that we follow up on that, and that's going to be voting, right? Obviously, and as a people, just as humans interacting with each other out there, I'm hoping that we have less racist attitudes and just learn to live with each other. I mean, that's it's two things, right? The policing part of it, that's without a doubt should move forward when it comes to reforming and really changing the way policing is done in America.
Listen, I know we're pressed for time here, and I don't want to hold you up. I want to thank you so much, Danny. Once again, I got so much respect for you and the way you just carry yourself after everything you've been through and all you do. I really want people to get out there and see your story and see this documentary. It's called The Jersey Four.
Yeah, yeah, and Instagram is the Jersey number 4, and my Instagram is D Reyes 34. Reyes is Reyes, so D Reyes 34, and the Jersey number 4. The best way to support us and stay active with us. But we actually going to be having a few feature stories coming up out in magazines and things like that.
Great.
So hopefully we'll start putting the word out. Thanks to to your show as well, that the film is being we have a little delay because of the coronavirus. So we just got to finish some shoots now in the summer. We are like 80% in edit mode right now, so we just
Great.
like the last 20% to finalize.
It's such an amazing story. That's why I'm anxious to get it, and I hope I want to definitely have you on again when that comes out. All you guys, maybe
Sure.
do something with the the whole Jersey Four.
For sure, and it's we have a great team behind us, great producers, even guys like Carmelo Anthony, New York great that is supporting us as a producer. So hopefully we put it out at a timely time for this country that it could be
Yeah,
healing and educational for all.
yeah. Well, listen, man. I want to wish you the best here. For the rest of the until we
For
talk
sure.
again. And hopefully we'll see you out on the boat
Yeah, yeah,
on
for
Long
sure, man.
Island Sound soon, right?
Yes, sir, man. That's the plan.
And how's your other company going? Your tequila company?
We good. I mean, obviously, we've been at
I heard you
home.
just got voted the best tequila in some prestigious.
Yeah, we just won a gold for the Blanco, which is
Being
huge.
a teetotaler, I'm not in the loop with this, so you got to fill
We beat some
everybody in.
big brands, and the main thing because bars and restaurants are being hit because of the
Yeah,
virus.
yeah,
Liquor stores are moving well, and we just signed a major distribution deal right before the lockdown. So we are with Empire and Allies, the biggest distributors. So now we go for the next phase of our company because we've been officially in the market a little over 2 years.
brother. Listen, man. Thanks again. Keep doing what you do, man. Do what you do.
Yep, for sure, man. See you soon,
All
man.
right, Danny.
Hey, take care.
Peace.